Corpse Party is based on a horror game of the same name. The story revolves around the chilling mysteries of Heavenly Host School. It all begins during a cultural festival at a Japanese high school, when a group of students decides to perform a friendship ritual. Suddenly, a violent earthquake strikes, transporting them into the ruins of a school in another dimension. Trapped in this eerie place, they must face unspeakable horrors and struggle to survive. But can they all return safely? And what dark secrets are hidden within the cursed halls of Heavenly Host? The story starts at a Japanese high school with Satoshi, Naomi, Yoshiki, Ayumi, Seiko, Mayu, and Sakato gathered in their classroom, sharing ghost stories. When it's Ayumi's turn, she reveals that their school, Kasaragi Academy, once stood on the grounds of the infamous Heavenly Host Elementary. Long ago, a teacher there slipped on the stairs and died. Though the case was closed, the tragedy left behind a lingering curse. The school was shut down, and its grieving principal threw himself from the roof on the day the doors were sealed. Rumors say the teacher never realized she had died. On rainy nights like this one, she is said to wander the pitch-black corridors of the old school. Whenever she appears, the lights go out, followed by eerie knocking at the door. Slowly, the door creaks open, revealing a ghostly pale face asking, "Is someone still here?" Ayumi's story terrifies the group, especially when they suddenly hear real knocking outside. For a moment, it feels like the ghost teacher has come for them, but to their relief, it's only their teacher, Ms. Yui, playing a prank. Following behind is Yuka, Satoshi's younger sister, who came to deliver an umbrella to her brother. Before leaving, Ayumi suggests they all perform a supernatural ritual she found online, called Sachiko Ever After. This charm, she says, will forever bind their friendship with Mayu, who is about to transfer to another school. The ritual is simple. Everyone stands in a circle, chants Sachiko's name 9 times, then tears a paper charm into 9 pieces, each person keeping 1 piece. By doing this, their friendship will supposedly last forever. The ritual actually worked, but instead of binding their friendship, it transported them all to another dimension, right into the cursed Heavenly Host School. Naomi wakes up in a strange, unfamiliar place. Her leg aches badly, likely due to a sprain. Nearby, she finds her friend Seiko unconscious. The two reunite and begin searching for an exit, but every door and window is sealed shut. Exhausted, they decide to rest in the school's infirmary so Naomi can tend to her injured leg. Seiko, having lost her charm piece in the restroom, insists on going back to retrieve it. Naomi, terrified of being left alone, begs her not to go, but with her injured leg, she has no choice but to stay behind. As soon as Seiko leaves, the lights flicker out, blood begins to pour across the room, and Naomi is attacked by a shadowy presence. Screaming in terror, she barely manages to escape. Meanwhile, Seiko stumbles upon a gruesome corpse, half a body with blood and organs scattered across the floor. When she finally reunites with Naomi, the frightened girl lashes out, angrily accusing Seiko of abandoning her. Deeply hurt, Seiko runs off. Naomi quickly regrets her words and searches for her, only to discover Seiko in the bathroom, hanging by a noose. Despite her desperate attempts to save her friend, Naomi fails. Seiko dies before her eyes. From the shadows, Naomi glimpses a sinister little girl in a crimson dress, smiling wickedly before vanishing. Soon after, another girl wearing glasses appears. She explains the terrifying truth: Heavenly Host is cursed, and those trapped inside slowly lose their sanity. Victims turn on each other, murdering their friends until their souls are bound to the school forever. Seiko, she says, must have fallen victim to this curse, and in her despair, chose to end her own life. Elsewhere, Sakato desperately tries to break open a door, only to be confronted by a mysterious woman with blue hair. She warns him coldly that no one can ever leave this place. Before vanishing again, she reveals that his friends are scattered somewhere within the school. At the same time, Ayumi collapses to the floor, clutching her head and screaming that she can't stay in this place any longer. Yoshiki tries to calm her, confused and helpless. Suddenly, a child's ghost materializes behind them. Yoshiki realizes it's one of the murdered children from Heavenly Host. Ayumi shouts, "Don't look into its eyes." But when Yoshiki turns, the blood-soaked spirit is already standing before him, holding a pair of rusted scissors. The ghost sneers, "Which one of you wants to die first?" Terrified, neither of them can respond. Just as the spirit advances, the mysterious girl reappears, disrupting the hunt. The two breathe a sigh of relief, narrowly escaping death. Ayumi then recognizes her. She's Naho, a famous blogger who researched paranormal phenomena, creator of the Sachiko Ever After ritual. Yoshiki, shocked and confused, demands answers. Naho admits she entered Heavenly Host searching for her friend but perished in the process. Now a lingering spirit, she shares everything she knows about the curse, including the grim truth about how or if it's possible to escape. Naho explains that Heavenly Host exists as a series of independent spaces, each one held together by the tormented souls of the murdered children. Even if people are in the same place, if they are trapped in different dimensions, they can never truly meet. The only way to collapse these spaces is to soothe the vengeful spirits and uncover the true culprit behind the murders, forcing him to confess. Only then can the cursed dimensions crumble, and everyone may escape. After leaving this revelation, Naho vanishes, but not before leaving behind a strange doll. On it are carved the words, Yoshikazu. The scene cut to Satoshi and his little sister Yuka. They stumble upon an old newspaper detailing the horrific crimes committed at Heavenly Host. Dozens of children had gone missing, and when their bodies were found, they were mutilated beyond recognition. The article names Yoshikazu Yanagihori, the school custodian and son of the late principal, as the one holding blood-stained scissors. While processing this, Yuka suddenly insists she needs to use the restroom. With no choice, Satoshi agrees to accompany her to find one. On the way, they saw Sakato, who was disturbingly busy taking photographs of corpses. They decide to split up, promising to regroup at the main gate. Sakato grows increasingly uneasy about Mayu. Before that, Mayu had encountered two of the four vengeful spirits bound to the school, Yuki and Tokiko. She pitied them deeply, mourning the cruel fate that had claimed their young lives. But when Ms. Yui discovered her speaking with the spirits, she panicked and tried to stop her. In rage, the ghost seized Mayu, dragging her across the floor before slamming her body violently against the wall, shattering her to pieces. Ms. Yui could only watch in horror before she herself was ambushed by Yoshikazu. In another dimension, the corpse Sakato had photographed, the one Satoshi had caught him staring at, turns out to be Mayu's broken body. As Satoshi and Yuka move on, Sakato becomes increasingly deranged, obsessing over the grotesque photos he has collected. He lingers over one in particular, his favorite, Mayu's mangled corpse. Suddenly, his phone rings. A faint voice whispers through the static, "Don't look at that." Sakato realizes it is Mayu's voice, speaking from beyond. Overwhelmed with grief and horror, he breaks down, screaming into the dark halls. Meanwhile, Satoshi and Yuka, still searching for a restroom, encounter the girl in the red dress, mistaking her for a lost child. Satoshi trusts her far too easily. With kind-hearted, he follows her guidance. When Yuka's need becomes urgent, she shyly asks the girl in red to take her instead, while Satoshi waits inside a nearby building. But once Yuka is alone, the girl in red vanishes, leaving her stranded. It's then that the vengeful spirit Yuki appears, terrifying Yuka nearly to death. Inside, Satoshi hears her desperate screams and rushes to help, only to be blocked at the door by the red-dressed girl herself. Yuka flees into the school building in panic but finds no trace of Satoshi inside. Elsewhere, Ayumi and Yoshiki resolve to uncover the identity of the killer. Armed with the strange doll Naho left behind, they begin their dangerous search, determined to end the curse of Heavenly Host once and for all. The doll suddenly apologized in a ghostly voice. Shocked, Yoshiki stumbles backward against the wall. From this, the two discover a bag labeled with the name Yoshizawa Ryo, the same child spirit that had attacked them earlier. Just then, Ryo himself appears, demanding that they return what was stolen from him. Confused, Ayumi and Yoshiki don't understand what he means. Growing impatient, Ryo lunges forward, clawing at Ayumi's throat while screaming over and over, "Give it back! Give it back!" In desperation, Ayumi realizes the truth. She grabs the bag they found earlier. Inside is Ryo's severed tongue. When she returns it to him, Ryo immediately calms down. His body glows faintly before fading away, his soul finally at peace. From this, Ayumi and Yoshiki understand what Naho's clue really meant: to free the vengeful spirits. They must recover their missing body parts and return them. With the help of the spirit doll, they quickly recover Tokiko's severed head and Yuki's missing eye, returning them as well. Now only one remains, Sachiko. But the newspaper records say Sachiko was alive before the murders began. If she wasn't one of the dead, then why are they still trapped? Ayumi can't shake the feeling that something important is missing. Meanwhile, Yuka, who barely escaped from Yuki earlier, runs into Sakato, twisted by grief over Mayu's death and consumed by the curse. Sakato has lost all control. He rages violently, destroying everything in his path. When he sees Yuka, he gives a deranged grin and begins chasing her, promising to crush her body just like Mayu's. As she flees, Yuka encounters a boy named Yuya, a kind-looking student from Bakuden High. He promises to protect her, explaining that he came to Heavenly Host searching for his younger sister. Relieved, Yuka follows him, but their moment of safety doesn't last. Sakato finds them and charges. Yuya doesn't flinch, pulling out a knife. He stabs Sakato in the neck, killing him instantly. But this is no fairy tale. With an unsettling smile, Yuya turns to Yuka, still holding the bloody knife. "I'll be your Oni-chan now," he says, stepping closer. His grin widens as he promises to protect her. Advancing like a predator, Yuka, terrified, bolts away as fast as she can, heart pounding. At that moment, the floor begins to shake violently, as if another earthquake is tearing through the school. Because 3 of the child's spirits have been appeased, the very fabric of Heavenly Host begins to destabilize. Ayumi and Yoshiki are nearly crushed under collapsing debris, but Yuki's spirit suddenly appears and saves them, pulling them back into the real world. Though once filled with hatred, Yuki is freed from her rage after receiving her missing eye. Out of gratitude, she helps them, but she admits her powers are fading. The curse has weakened just enough for her to save 2 people. The rest, however, remain trapped. Before disappearing, Yuki opens a portal back into Heavenly Host, urging Ayumi to return if she hopes to save her friends. Before leaving, she also shares her own tragic memory. Ayumi is suddenly dragged into Yuki's past. She finds herself bound in a dark basement alongside other children. In front of her looms Yoshikazu, holding a strip of white cloth. He blindfolds her, while the air fills with the piercing sounds of scissors slicing into flesh and the desperate screams of dying children. When her blindfold is removed, Ayumi's blood runs cold. Before her stands Sachiko, clutching a pair of blood-soaked scissors. Yoshikazu, the supposed killer, is cowering in fear, hiding in the corner like a terrified child. Before Ayumi can process it, Sachiko drives the scissors straight into her eye. Blood gushes forth as Sachiko's chilling, sadistic laughter echoes through the dark. Ayumi wakes up in tears, shaken to her core. She never imagined the children had endured such horrifying memories. What shocked her even more was the truth. The real killer wasn't Yoshikazu at all. It was the girl in the red dress, Sachiko. Only if Sachiko repents for her crimes can the survivors ever return home. Realizing her own responsibility for dragging everyone into this nightmare, Ayumi decides to go back into Heavenly Host alone, despite Yoshiki's desperate attempts to stop her. Then Satoshi finds Naomi, sobbing in the bathroom. He also discovers Seiko's corpse hanging nearby. Naomi confesses that it was her fault, that her harsh words had driven Seiko to despair and suicide. But Satoshi gently comforts her, insisting it wasn't her fault. Seiko must have been under the influence of the curse, no longer in her right mind when she died. Elsewhere, Yuka, who had just shaken off Yuya, suddenly encounters Sachiko. The girl in red terrifies her so badly that she soils herself in fear. Desperate, Yuka flees into the science lab, but Yuya refuses to let her escape. Driven by twisted lust, he strips half his body bare, heightening his madness. He grabs Yuka, ties her up, and begins torturing her mercilessly with a knife. Her screams echo through the school. Satoshi and Ayumi hear them, but by the time they arrive, it's already too late. Yuka lies on the floor, one eye gouged out, a fatal wound in her stomach. Standing over her corpse is Yuya, until Yoshiki suddenly bursts in and decapitates him in a single strike. It turns out Yoshiki had returned after all, ashamed that he left his friends behind. Now he was determined to save them. But before they can grieve, the monstrous Yoshikazu appears, carrying his enormous scissors. Though once feared as the killer, he is now revealed as a puppet of Sachiko's curse, acting only on her will. Yoshiki steps forward bravely. Instead of running, he tells Ayumi to take Yuka's body and flee. He'll hold Yoshikazu back, despite knowing he won't survive. He chooses to sacrifice himself for their sake. The battle is brutal, and in the end, Yoshiki is fatally wounded. As Satoshi and Ayumi reach him, he dies in Satoshi's arms. His final act one of true courage. Afterward, the group finds an old videotape. When they play it, they are stunned. The person Naho had been searching for all along was her teacher, Kibiki. But the shocking twist is that Kibiki's death was caused by none other than Naho herself. Piecing everything together, Ayumi lays out the truth of Heavenly Host. Everyone had believed the principal was behind the tragedy, but in reality, the true mastermind was Sachiko, the sole survivor of the massacre. It was she who manipulated Yoshikazu, the principal's son, and drove him to kill. The curse of Heavenly Host was born from her malice and the vengeful spirits trapped within its walls. Years later, Kibiki began investigating the case. With a video camera and his assistant Naho, he uncovered fragments of the truth, but both of them died before solving the mystery. Now, Ayumi, Satoshi, and Naomi realize there is only one way to end it. They must force Sachiko to confess her crimes and perform the Sachiko ever after ritual correctly. Using the torn paper slips they had with them from the beginning, the 3 survivors split up to search for Ms. Yui. During her search, Ayumi realizes the awful truth. Naho had lied about the Sachiko charm on her blog. Furious, Ayumi rushes to confront her. The truth comes spilling out. Back when she was still alive, Naho had fallen in love with her teacher, Kibiki, but her love wasn't pure. It was selfish and toxic. While Kibiki was trying to uncover the truth behind Heavenly Host, Naho was plotting something else entirely. She secretly conspired with Sachiko, channeling the girl's hatred into a cursed charm. The ritual Ayumi and her friends had performed at the start of the story. That charm didn't protect them. It was a trap. Anyone naive enough to use it would be dragged into Heavenly Host, where their souls would become nothing more than offerings to fuel Sachiko's vengeance. Worse still, Naho planned to let Kibiki use these test subjects as part of his investigation, ensuring he would remain trapped inside the cursed school forever. When that wasn't enough, she murdered him herself, condemning them both to this dimension. But the curse twisted her spirit. Over time, Naho forgot what she had done. She wandered as a lost soul, convinced she was still helping. Ayumi shatters this illusion by holding up proof, evidence that it was Naho who killed Kibiki. Faced with the truth, Naho screams in agony, her form dissolving into nothingness, leaving behind only her regret. Meanwhile, Satoshi and Naomi stumble into the infirmary, where they discover a hidden notebook. As they read, they realize the writer was Sachiko's mother, the nurse in this school who had once been violated by the principal. To keep her mother, young Sachiko began murdering children, trapping their souls within the school to be with her. The nurse, however, was horrified. In her final words, she begged her daughter to stop falling deeper into bloodshed. Pressing forward, Satoshi and Naomi enter the principal's office. Inside a desk drawer, Satoshi touches a pair of blood-stained scissors and is hit with a horrifying vision of the past. He sees the principal, consumed by paranoia over Sachiko's survival, cutting out her tongue and stabbing her repeatedly to make sure she stayed dead. When the vision fades, Satoshi finds a small cloth bag hidden in the drawer. Inside it lies a grisly relic, Sachiko's severed tongue. Elsewhere, Ms. Yui finally finds Ayumi, but the unstable dimensions of Heavenly Host collapse around them. In an instant, Yui is crushed to death, her life taken before Ayumi's eyes. Back with Satoshi and Naomi, the two suddenly run into Yoshikazu. They narrowly escape, only to realize they've stumbled into the very room where he used to cut out his victims' tongues. In that moment, Naomi recognizes the corpse Yoshikazu drags into the room. It's Seiko. Overcome with grief, she loses control and chases after him. But in doing so, she accidentally witnesses the horrifying truth. Seiko's death wasn't suicide. Naomi herself had been manipulated by Sachiko. Her mind twisted until she became the one who killed her own best friend. The revelation breaks Naomi's spirit completely. Just as she falls into despair, her phone vibrates. A message appears on the screen. "Let's make up, okay?" It's from Seiko. Somehow, from beyond death, Seiko forgives her. That single act of kindness snaps Naomi out of her self-hatred. Satoshi quickly reunites with Ayumi, and the spirit of Yuki appears, guiding them to the place where both Yoshikazu and Sachiko had died. Suddenly, the vengeful spirit of Sachiko lunges forward, scissors in hand, aiming to kill. Satoshi bravely blocks the attack with his own arm. At that moment, another side of Sachiko's soul emerges, the child she once was. Satoshi speaks to her gently, telling her he has found her tongue and wants to return it. But the dark spirit doesn't seem to understand. Just as she is about to finish him off, Satoshi reveals that he knows the entire truth from Kibiki's notes. Sachiko and her mother Yoshi were the first victims of Heavenly Host. Hearing this, Sachiko freezes. Her memories flood back, the night her mother was murdered. Tears stream down her face. "I told the truth, but no one believed me," she said. Satoshi returns her tongue, while Naomi offers the teddy bear that Yoshi had made for her. Clutching the bear, Sachiko breaks down, sobbing an apology. At last, her hatred dissolves, and her spirit is freed. Yuki's ghost reappears to warn them that the dimension is collapsing. With no vengeful spirit left to hold it together, the three survivors rush outside and stand in a circle to perform the Sachiko Ever After ritual once again. But Naomi's charm had been lost earlier, so she takes one from another corpse. Satoshi, ever selfless, exchanges his with hers, despite Yuki's warning that this is dangerous. The ritual works. They escape the cursed school and return to reality. For a moment, it feels like a happy ending. But when Naomi and Ayumi turn, Satoshi is no longer there. Only his severed arms remain. His soul has stayed behind, reunited in death with his sister Yuka. And so ends Corpse Party. Ayumi succeeds in freeing the tormented spirits and uncovering the truth of Heavenly Host. But at a devastating cost. Too much blood has been spilled. Too many friends lost. In the end, the ones left alive are the most unfortunate, forced to carry the scars, the guilt, and the nightmares for the rest of their lives. It's a finale that leaves behind not relief, but a haunting emptiness, one that lingers long after the screen fades to black. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you won't miss the next horror story. See you soon.